another police officer who was one of the first responders to the Khumalo home where Senzo Meyiwa was shot dead has been grilled on why he didn't cordon off the crime scene when they first arrived. This while the defense contends that the scene was contaminated. Sergeant Timothy Mathebula was also questioned on contradictions in one of his statements and what he told the High Court on when he noticed blood stains inside the house. 5 men are currently on trial for the 2014 murder of the soccer star, and SABC News reporter Chriselda is back and joins us live now. Welcome back, Chriselda. Tell us what happened in court.
Well, Bongiwe, Sergeant Timothy Mathebula, who travelled to the Khumalo home with the previous witness, who you'd recall was Sergeant Mthethwa, basically told the High Court in Pretoria that he only noticed blood stains in the dining room the second time when he and his colleagues went back to the crime scene. Now, this is after they'd returned from the hospital where Senzo Meyiwa was confirmed dead to them. But the defense basically says that what he said there contradicts what is contained in a statement that Mathebula deposed in February of 2018. Let's take a listen.
What is deposed there and written there is that you notice blood at the first instance, in contrast to your testimony that you only notice blood at the corner of the couch and TV stand on your second visit to the house upon returning from hospital.
I saw the blood when we came back for the second time.
Well, that's Advocate Sipho Ramasipile, who represents accused 1 and 2. So Ramasipile also contrasting what a previous witness had told the court. You'd recall, Bongiwe, that a Khumalo neighbor who had previously taken the stand, that was Ntabiseng Mukiti, who lives just right across the Khumalo home, said while she was in the kitchen and police had been combing the scene, it was she that pointed out the bullet projectile to officers. This is a claim that Mathebula has basically rubbished and says is not true. Let's take a listen.
Ntabiseng Mukiti has testified on that aspect in this court to say she was with Khumalo in the room at the time, the room opposite the kitchen. Then she went and fetched water in the kitchen. And as she was going to the kitchen, she saw that projectile on the floor and she asked the police officers, "Is this not what you are looking for?" So meaning that she's the one that found or saw that projectile.
I don't know about that one.
Now, you'd recall that the alleged contamination of the scene is also a point that the defense has consistently stuck to. Sergeant Mthethwa, that's the previous witness, and the current witness, Mathebula, in fact, who was before the current witness on the stand, both basically conceding that the scene was not cordoned off the first time when they arrived at the Khumalo home. Mathebula says when they arrived at the Khumalo home and met Kelly Khumalo's uncle, Themba Khumalo, he mentioned that Senzo had been shot, but said that people who had more information on what had taken place had already gone off to the hospital. He says they briefly went inside and then left the hospital. Now, that's without cordoning off that area. He says it only registered to him when he saw Meyiwa lying on the stretcher in a room in that hospital, that in fact it was a crime scene that they had left behind. So this prompting the defense now to suggest that Mathebula and his colleagues had basically left the scene open to contamination by not cordoning it off the first time around, and by doing so had basically mishandled it. Let's take a listen.
The first time when you inspected the crime scene, you failed to take a proper look. That is why you couldn't see that projectile for the first time.
We didn't see it the first time.
When you arrive at the crime scene, the first officer to arrive at the crime scene, what do you do before the arrival of the other officers at the crime scene?
You check for information, and then upon you check and then gather information, and then upon gathering that information, if it is positive, you then cordon off the scene.
Yeah, did you do that when you arrived at the crime scene?
No.
Okay. At the time when you decided to go to the hospital, why didn't you separate amongst the 4 colleagues of you who attended the crime scene and leave others at the scene to secure the crime scene?
They were still students.
Why didn't you separate between you and Constable Mteto?
That never came to us.
Oh, okay.
All right, so following that cross-examination, Warrant Officer Thabo Msia is now on the stand. He took the stand this afternoon. Before court had adjourned, he went through some of the photographs and some of the swabs and exhibits that were taken from the scene. We're expecting him also to be grilled after he gives his evidence in chief about how the scene had been handled. Of course, the defense contending that police did not do their jobs and basically had left the scene to be allowed to be contaminated. As we've previously heard also, Bongiwe, that there are some statements that were given by some individuals, by some witnesses, that indicated that the house had been cleaned before police had arrived. So Msia will continue on the stand tomorrow.